Good afternoon, dear students. I welcome you all for this fourth lecture of Fundamental of Systematics. In the last lecture, we have studied about biological classification, in which we have studied two kingdom classification system and three kingdom classification system. Today, we are going to study the next two systems of classification. So, after completing today's lecture, the study outcomes of this lecture will be we should be able to know the four kingdom classification system, merits and demerits of four kingdom classification system. Next, we will study the five kingdom classification system and the merits and demerits of this five kingdom classification system. So let's start with the first, that is four kingdom classification system. So this four kingdom classification system was proposed by Copeland in 1956. So as we know, in three kingdom classification system, there were only three kingdoms, that is Protista, Metaphyta or the Plantae, and Metazoa or the Animalia kingdom. Now, in this four kingdom classification system, Copeland introduced the fourth kingdom, that is Monera. So previously all prokaryotes were included into the protist, but after inclusion of this fourth kingdom, that is Monera, now all organisms that were prokaryotic could be included in the fourth kingdom, that is kingdom Monera. So this fourth kingdom, which we now know as Monera, were originally named by Copeland as Mycota. And all the prokaryotes were included in this fourth kingdom, including cyanobacteria, or we commonly call them as blue-green algae, and archaebacteria or the ancient bacteria. So the reason behind this addition of this fourth kingdom was the electron microscope studies, which were become quite effective after the discovery of the electron microscope. So actinomycetes, which are nothing but the filamentous gram-positive bacteria, they were also included into this fourth kingdom. So all the microorganisms were included in two kingdoms. So here by microorganisms we mean first bacteria and blue-green algae or cyanobacteria, which were included in the kingdom Monera, and on the other hand all the microalgae, microfungi and protozoa, they were included in the kingdom Protista. Thus all microorganisms were recognized as monerans and Protista, but they did not include any plants or animals. So there was a clear-cut distinction. However, fungi were continued to remain in the previously classified kingdom, that is Metaphyta or the Plantae. So this was the major drawback. So this four kingdom classification system, if we see, the first kingdom Monera includes all the unicellular or filamentous prokaryotes as bacteria, mycoplasma and cyanobacteria. Second kingdom, that is kingdom Protista, includes all the unicellular eukaryotes. Kingdom Plantae includes all the multicellular autotrophic eukaryotes, because all these eukaryotes, they are capable of producing their own food by either photosynthesis or chemosynthesis. And the fourth kingdom, that is kingdom Animalia, included all the multicellular heterotrophic eukaryotes, which are dependent on other organisms for their nutrition. So in this chart we can summarize these four kingdoms. So the first kingdom, that is the lower protist or the kingdom Monera, including bacteria and blue-green algae. Kingdom Protista, including all the algae and fungi. Kingdom Plantae, or Metaphyta, including all plants ranging from the algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms to the higher flowering plant, that is angiosperms. And the fourth kingdom, that is kingdom Animalia or kingdom Metazoa, included all the invertebrates and vertebrates. So if we compare this four kingdom system with the three kingdom system which was proposed by Copeland, we can see that these three kingdoms remain as it is, and there was addition of this fourth kingdom, that is kingdom Monera. So what were the characteristics of these monerans or the prokaryotic organisms? First of all, they were microscopic. The nucleus and membrane bound organelles were absent. Cell wall was surrounded by rigid cell wall except in mycoplasma where they lack cell wall. Next, chemosynthesis was observed as the preferred mode of nutrition. Some monerans, however, autotrophic, they were either photoautotropes or chemoautotropes. So photoautotropes utilizing the light energy as a source to prepare their food, or chemoautotropes utilizing the chemicals to prepare their own food. And most of the monerans or these prokaryotic organisms, they were heterotrophs also. So heterotrophs further we can classify into parasites or saprotrophs. So parasites, they are like dependent organisms. Also, some of these monerans were also found to be living symbiotically on the other living organisms. And very important characteristics of these monerans, that they were cosmopolitan in distribution. That is, you can find them anywhere, in air, in water, soil. They were present everywhere. That is known as cosmopolitan. And they can live at any places. So like we have classified Archaebacteria into these monerans, so they can survive into very harsh conditions. So Archaebacteria can survive extreme environmental conditions like lack of oxygen, very high salt concentration, or even very high temperature or acidic ion concentration. So we have different types of Archaebacteria like halophiles, thermophiles, acidophiles, and etc. So now we come to the last part, that is merits and demerits of this four kingdom classification system. So the only merit we can say that a new kingdom, Monera, was established to include all the prokaryotic protists. On the other hand, this system also had many drawbacks or demerits. So what were those? First of all, position to kingdom fungi is still not given. So like in previous three kingdom classification system, fungi were included with plants. Similarly, that continued in the fourth kingdom classification system as well. Next drawback was, even after organisms were divided on the basis of cellular nature, that is either unicellular or multicellular, not all organisms follow this criteria. So this was one of the drawback. Also, some of the organisms like viruses, viroids, prions, they were not given any place into this four kingdom classification system. Again, last drawback was organisms having extremely different characteristics were not categorized, like cyanobacteria, fungi, euglenoids. They still not got any place in any of the kingdom. These were the major drawbacks of the four kingdom classification system. Okay, so after this there was a next classification system which was proposed, called as five kingdom classification system. This was proposed by R.H. Whitaker. So in the year 1969, R.H. Whitaker proposed this system, where he created the fifth kingdom, that is kingdom fungi. So now, since fungi was lacking a place in all previous system, now it has got a separate kingdom for itself. So a fifth kingdom was established, that is the establishment of a kingdom fungi. So these were the four kingdoms which were present in the four kingdom classification system. A new kingdom was established, that is the kingdom fungi. So here you can see the pictorially all the five kingdoms. So plants or plantae included multicellular eukaryotic plants, animalia included all the multicellular eukaryotic animals, protists included eukaryotic unicellular as well as multicellular organisms. On the other hand, these monerans included eubacteria and archaebacteria, whereas fungi included the multicellular eukaryotic organisms. So in this also, picture also you can see the different five kingdom. Okay, now we go into the details of this five kingdom classification system of R.H. Whitaker. So the first kingdom was kingdom Monera, which was given in this system. So it includes all prokaryotic, autotrophic as well as heterotrophic organisms. Second kingdom, as like four kingdom classification system, the kingdom Protista is present. It includes all eukaryotic, unicellular, autotrophic as well as heterotrophic organisms. Third kingdom, now this was the newly introduced kingdom, that is kingdom Fungi, which includes eukaryotic, multicellular, heterotrophic organism which have different type of nutrition like absorptive as well as other type assimilative type of nutrition, and they were also included the spore producing organisms, or rather they included the spore producing organisms. And fourth kingdom, that is kingdom Plantae, or also referred to as Metaphyta, organisms which are chlorophyllous, that means having chlorophyll, multicellular and photosynthetic organisms. So all plants were included right from the algae, mosses up to the higher plants, that is bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperm, up to the flowering plant, that is angiosperms. So algae to angiosperm all were included in the Plantae. And fifth kingdom, kingdom Animalia, includes all the multicellular animals which may be holozoic or phagocytic eukaryotic organisms. So in this five kingdom classification system is also a phylogenetic system which is based on certain criteria. So we have already studied there were some criteria for 2 or 3 kingdom classification system. Similarly, 5 kingdom classification system was also based on certain criteria. So the first criteria was complexity of cell structure, either prokaryote or eukaryotic organisms. Second criteria was complexity of organism, whether it is a unicellular organism or a multicellular organism. Third criteria was mode of nutrition, whether organism is autotrophic, heterotrophic. In heterotrophic also it may be absorptive, that is saprozoic or parasitic, or it can be a ingestive type of mode of nutrition. So all the holozoic type of organisms. Next criteria was major ecological role, what type of role it is playing in its ecosystem, whether it is a producer, consumer, or whether it is acting like a saprophyte or a decomposer. And the last criteria was phylogenetic relationship. So this relationship could be a very simple phylogenetic relationship, or it could be a very complex type of a relationship. So in this chart also you can have an overview how the animals were classified based on the type of cell into either prokaryotes or eukaryotes. Further, based on the type of cell wall, they were classified as those having cell wall, those lacking cell wall. Further, you can say based on the type of nutrition they were classified into autotrophs or heterotrophs. And based on this you finally have these five kingdoms. So these are some characteristics of five kingdom classification. Again, in third chapter, we are going to deal with this, so I'll not go in much detail, but in this chart, you can see how these different criteria were used so as to classify them or define them into the five kingdoms. Okay, now we'll quickly go through the characteristics of these five kingdoms. So the first kingdom was Kingdom Monera. It was, we know, Monerans include all the prokaryotic microorganisms. So these include unicellular or filamentous prokaryotes. They are omnipresent or cosmopolitan in distribution. That means you can find them anywhere. So you can find them even in the snow or even in the hot spring water. Then their cell wall is composed of peptidoglycan or urine. Then their mode of nutrition is either autotrophic. If it is autotrophic, it could be either photoautotrophs or chemoautotrophs, or it can be second type, that is heterotrophic. In heterotrophic, it can be saprophytic, that means living on the dead organisms, or parasitic, living on or inside the body of the host. And last, the sexual reproduction, or rather a type of reproduction, how they reproduce by vegetative mode, asexual mode, or sexual method. These were the basic criteria or characteristics of the kingdom Monera. Now the second kingdom, that is, okay, so okay, now we see some of the example of Monera or the prokaryotic organisms. So we have archaebacteria or ancient bacteria, which are like extremophiles. So we have methanogens, halophiles, thermoacidophiles. So remaining second group like eubacteria or true bacteria, which includes Vibrio, mycobacteria. Third group, that is cyanobacteria or blue-green algae, which includes nostoc, anabina. You can see the pictures of all these. Here you can see the remaining pictures, cyanobacteria, anabina. Okay, we move on to the second kingdom, that is kingdom Protista. So what are the characteristics of protistans? They are unicellular eukaryotes. Now we have classified all the unicellular prokaryotes in the Monera, and now the unicellular eukaryotes are classified into the kingdom Protista. So what is their habitat? They could be freshwater, marine, or parasitic forms. Cell wall is usually absent. If present, it is impregnated with silica, for example diatoms. Now what is the mode of nutrition? It could be photosynthetic or non-photosynthetic. Locomotory organ, there is a diversity of locomotory organ in these protozoans or the protist. It can be cilia, flagella, pseudopodia, or sometimes they are non-locomotory. Finally, reproduction can be by fertilization, conjugation, fragmentation, or budding. So these are the basic characteristics of the kingdom Protista. So here you can see protists include dinoflagellates, diatoms, and other protozoans, amoeba, trypanosoma, opalina, entamoeba, paramecium. All these were included in the kingdom Protista. Now we move on to the third kingdom, which was basically established by this five kingdom classification system, that is kingdom fungi. So what are the characteristics of this fungi? Now if you could remember, up to the four kingdom classification system, fungi was part of the kingdom Plantae. Now in five kingdom classification system, fungi got its own place as a separate kingdom. So what are the characteristics of the kingdom fungi? All unicellular, so it can include unicellular or multicellular eukaryotes. They are achlorophyllous heterotrophs, that means chlorophyll pigment is absent and they are unable to prepare their own food. Some are parasitic, some could be saprophytes like Eastern agaricus, which can live on the dead animals, symbionts, which can live on other or in symbiosis with other organisms, for example Parmelia in lichens, and they can be associated with roots as well, so like mycorrhiza. Their body is thalloid type and it is also called as mycelium. Now this mycelium is further made up of tubular thread-like hyphae. So thread-like structures are present which are called as hyphae, and together these hyphae form the mycelium. So these are the characteristics of fungi. Remaining characteristics, their cell wall has presence of chitin. So this is very important characteristic, that cell wall which is chitinous in nature. And last point, their reproduction. So it can be vegetative. If it is vegetative, it can be by fragmentation, by fission or budding. If then it can be asexual by formation of conidia or sporangiosperms. Or thirdly, it can be sexual type of reproduction, can also be found in fungi by plasmogamy, karyogamy and meiosis. So by all these three methods, that is vegetative, asexual and sexual method, can be seen in the kingdom fungi. So they form different type of spores when they reproduce by the sexual mode of reproduction. So you can see the presence of oospores, ascospores or basidiospores. These are some example pictures of the kingdom fungi. So yeast and other examples are given, and you can have a higher form of yeast, like you have the mushrooms, bracket fungi. Okay, now we move on to the next kingdom, that is kingdom plantae. So as we know, kingdom plantae includes all the plants ranging from the lower plants to the higher plants. So all eukaryotic chlorophyll containing organisms are included in the kingdom plantae. They are always multicellular in nature. Cell wall is now here is made up of cellulose and other polysaccharides. It could include hemicellulose, lignin, pectin, suberin, etc. And the mode of reproduction, sorry, the mode of nutrition is autotrophic, that is photosynthetic. So they have a chlorophyll pigment, so they can prepare their own food with the help of sunlight. Now they are non-motile, they are stationary at one place. Reproduction in kingdom plantae can be either vegetative, asexual. If it is asexual, takes place by the formation of spores, and thirdly, it can be sexual, that is by formation of the gametes. So all the plants ranging from the lower plants like bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms, all are included in the kingdom plantae. Last kingdom, that is kingdom animalia. All So the characteristics of kingdom animalia includes all the eukaryotic organisms which are multicellular in nature. The cell wall is absent. They are heterotrophic in nature because they are dependent for their food on other organisms. Locomotion takes place by specialized organs. Reproduction is always sexual and it takes place by the formation of gametes. So male gametes and female gametes are formed but in the kingdom animalia. So you can see all non-chordates as well as chordates, they are included in the kingdom animalia. Okay, now in this five kingdom classification system which was proposed by Whitaker, these organisms were not included, or like prions, viroids and other viruses and lichens. These were not included in any of the five kingdoms. So this was one of the drawback. You can see pictures of lichens, viruses, viroids Okay, so now we move on to the last part of our lecture, that is merits of five kingdom classification system. First of all, one of the very important part that kingdom Animalia now become more homogeneous because now we have separated protozoa from Animalia. Okay, so protozoan, all the protozoans are separated in the kingdom Protista, and we have only animals included in the, that is all chordates and non-chordates included in the kingdom Animalia. Kingdom Plantae also become more homogeneous because now in previous systems we had bacteria, fungi, even algae included in the kingdom Plantae, but now they got their separate place. So bacteria included in the Monera, and as well as fungi got its another kingdom. So a separate kingdom was established for fungi. Yes, separation of prokaryotes into separate kingdom also took place. Separation of fungi from plants or kingdom Plantae took place. Separation of intermediate or transitional forms of unicellular eukaryotes into a separate kingdom, that is Protista. Yes. More importantly, now a phylogenetic relationship between all the organisms was established with the help of this five kingdom classification system. Some other merits of this five kingdom classification system were better relationship among organism was established at all the levels of organization, right from the kingdom to the species level. Clear-cut representation of mode of nutrition was made possible with five kingdom classification system because this was the one of the criteria while classifying the organism in the five kingdom classification. Better evolutionary relationships could be established. Certain controversial organisms or groups like cyanobacteria, fungi, or euglenids, they got a better placement. Separation of kingdom fungi from plantae we have already discussed. And also there were some demerits of this five kingdom classification system or drawbacks of this system, that Monera and Protista kingdom are still heterogeneous because both include autotrophic as well as heterotrophic forms and some with or without cell wall. So there was no clear-cut distinction yet. Okay, then phylogeny in lower organism was not fully reflected, like in higher organism belonging to the fungi, plantae, and animalia. Slime molds still could not find any position because though they were included in the kingdom Protista, but this was still controversial. Red and brown algae are not related to other members of the kingdom Plantae. This was another drawback of this system. So still, they were included with the Plantae. Viruses have not been included in this system. So in previous slide, we have seen not only viruses but other viroids, prions, they were also not included in this five kingdom classification system.